Well, welcome back to the shop build, everybody. So today and probably the next several days, we're going to be working on framing. So what things that we're going to be doing first is we got to check for and actually snap some lines for the inside face for our walls. But we got to make sure we got 28 feet, 54 feet long. We're going to check diagonals and that sort of thing, because if we need to shift one wall, let it hang over or hang in just like a little bit to make sure things are nice and square, so that everything up above for our trusses are where it needs to be. Those are the kind of things that we're going to do first. So snapping some lines for that so that we know exactly where do we put our sole plates or our bottom plates. So in this case, I'll show you the plans. It's going to be two bottom plates. The first one's going to be pressure treated with a sill seal in between, and then it'll be another regular Doug fir plate on top of that. So let's have a look. Here's our floor plan. Again, you've seen this before in previous videos. It's 54 feet all the way across. That is to framing, by the way, and that's not to sheathing. So that'll be something else that we got to take into account. So the framing, it's going to be 54 feet by 28 feet. Well, since we got a double bottom plate, so a sole plate and a bottom plate, we got all the layout done, started spreading out our pressure treated. Got to have pressure treated anything that's going to be fastened down to the slab. A couple of minor things that I did for my layout, because it wasn't perfectly square. It's hard to get it just perfect square and perfect width. So over there, the framing is going to hang over a 1/4 inch. And then as far as my length is 54 feet. It's a little bit long, so right in here, I'm actually going to hold it over to the framing, about 3/8 of an inch right here. And so that what that means is the sheathing is just going to be hanging over an 1/8 inch. Down there, I was good, so I squared. So I did 3, 4, 5, or in this case, a run, rise, and a diagonal. And my diagonal should be 60 foot 9 and 15/16. So it wound up being exactly right on the corner. So what I'm going to have is the framing is going to be right on the corner here, and over there it's going to be inset 3/8 of an inch, which sheathing's still going to hang over. I snapped the inside line on the end, if you can see it. That way I'm going to line up my board to that snapped line, so trying to guess where that outside line is. So that's there. This side here, got the inside line snapped. It's pretty straight. I first off said that wall, I just made it straight because it was straight, and that was my baseline. 28 feet over, lands just right on the outside edge, except for down there. All here was good except for right towards the end. So it will hang over just a little bit on that one, because it's just a little bit short of 28 feet by 1/4. So I snapped the inside edge here, there, all these interior walls I'm going to snap after I get my pressure treated down. So we'll see that process, get it down, and then and keep moving on. So all right, as you can see, we got quite a bit completed. We got all the perimeter pressure treated sole plates down, bolted, and there are a couple things where I missed a couple J bolts, or L bolts, I guess might be more correct word. So a foot in from the end of the board, I got to put another rotor hammer, and I'm going to actually put a Titan bolt in that one. Another spot's gonna be over here, and somewhere over here has got another spot as well that I gotta actually add a couple. So this interior wall is another one that has a footing underneath it. It's got to get bolted down. So this one's gonna all get drilled and put Titan bolts into it, as well as the 2x4 wall going across there that's on a little turn down footing. So the rest of it, so all my other interior walls, they're just gonna get well, hilti is a lack of a better word, but powder actuated nails into the concrete, and so that's how those are going to get fastened. So you'll see using the ram set with that. So this one here, what I got now, I marked where all my plumbing is, so I'm going to cut those out and actually slide it over it, because that's going to go first. And then my bottom plate, so this will be the sole plate, and then my bottom plate that goes on top of it, I'm going to make sure to make it big enough that I can glue a coupling onto each one of these vents and drains. But those I can notch and tilt it up, or either do that, or I'll be nailing in place just like this one and be cut out. So some of them are close to the edge, they'll get a plate on it, and others aren't. It's just how it worked out. So yeah, so I'm gonna pull this up, cut those out, and keep going. So the wall, I'm not going to put every single wall down right now, but this one I am, and as well as that little one. The others I could do later. Those ones, and as well as the perimeter, those are the ones that need to get inspected so that I can cover them up with that double bottom plate. So all right, so we had our inspection for our plate inspection, and it passed just fine. So we're good to go on the rest of our framing, which is awesome. So what we're going to be doing today is working on laying down the majority of our plates. We're going to go do the plate all the way across there, here, and I want to be working in this this area here, the guest house portion. In the guest house, it's a stack framing. The rest of it's balloon framing. What that means, stack framing, is you got one level, you build it, the floor, and then go up to the next level. Balloon framing is going to go all the way up to the 13 foot 6 inches tall portion. So that's just like the difference. One goes frames all the way through, and the other one has one stacked on another up to the roof. So this area I want to start here first, so we can get it all locked in with the floor, the second floor, get our beam on, all that kind of stuff, and then kind of work in that direction. I might change my mind along the way. It doesn't matter necessarily. Could I start over there? Yeah, I could start over there too. So I just figured that starting away from my stack of wood and working my way towards it, that way I can use my boom lift to do whatever I need to do over here and work my way that way without braces and things like that for the walls being in the way. So that was kind of my reasoning and logic about it. So when I go to raise these walls, I do have a couple wall jacks to jack it up and tilt it up. Also, I'm debating whether to use my boom lift. It can, lift up 500 pounds. So I might end up using that as well. Whatever I think is the safest, that's what I'm gonna do. So start off, get the plates in. The bottom of the second bottom plate, I'm gonna use my planer, because it's got to go around these 3x3 washers, and then drill a hole for the bolts and the nuts to go through on the bottom side. So since it's all going to get covered up, I had to have it inspected first. So let's get that going. All right, as you can see, we got a lot of the plates on. All those plates over there, got the layout on it, same with here. And then now I've got this, I got to finish this over here, but I got this plate. I wanted to spend this time to show you kind of the process for plate detailing. I have the orientation of the plans, how it's going to be facing. Even though they're upside down, it's just how the building is going to be facing. So I'm going to lay out these right here. As far as this door goes, it's a 3068, which that means it's 3 foot wide, 6'8" tall. There's some things about that you got to consider: your shimming, your jambs, and things like that. So it's not just 3 foot 0 inches wide for the framing, and I'll show you that. But as far as window goes, they're vinyl windows, so it's a 3040. It is the rough opening, which is framing. The rough opening is 3 foot 0 inches wide by 4 foot 0 inches tall, and the height of the header is going to be the same height as the door. So when we go to do our cripples and things like that. So for here, I'm going to go ahead and start laying out. There's going to be 2 studs, so a king stud and a trimmer on this side of the wall on the inside, and then the door starts from there. So let's go through here. Got these all stacked up so you can see. Hopefully you can see. So I got 5.5 inches is the width of this wall here. So I'm going to mark 5.5 inches. Okay, and then there's going to be a king stud, and then there's going to be a trimmer. The king stud is 1.5 inches, and then the trimmer is another 1.5 inches. And the eyeball down right there. Right there, right there. So when I go to frame, that's what's going to be sticking up. Trimmer, king, harder right on there. So this wall is what's ultimately going to end up staying in place. And this here gets cut out, at least this plate and this plate gets cut out, but this top plate stays the way it is. So the next thing is it's 3 foot 0 inches. The jambs are 3/4 inch, and then they're shimming. So 3/4 inch and 1/4 inch of shimming. So I need to add 1 inch on both sides for my jamb and my shimming on both sides. So what I'm actually going to mark, is 3 foot 2 inches, not 3 foot 0 inches. 3 foot 2 inches. Mark that on the top and the bottom. Now that's a minimum. I can go a little bit more, but try not to go any smaller. So a trimmer. I could go a little bit more, but I'm not going to. I will for the window. So marking over at 1.5 inches. My king stud will end up going first. King stud. So what you mark is your walls, your windows, and your doors first. Then after that, that's when you lay out your studs and cripples and that sort of thing. Here, if you wanted to get it, this, because it's so tight to the corner here, this is going to probably end up being full width of studs. Unfortunately, there's going to be a whole lot of studs right here. So we got 3. Oh shoot, all these got to move over a little bit because of that. This is going to move over. Shoot. There's 6 inches because that's 4 studs. And that's where my king stud's going to start. King stud. Dang it. Okay. And my trimmer. 1.5 inches and right there. Doggone it. I hate having all these marks, but that's the process when you're trying to think through everything. Some things reveal themselves. Okay, 3 foot 2. Gotta mark this over here. Scratch that out. I'm gonna go ahead and mark those on top. Just so that I have them and I know trimmer, All right, the next thing I'm gonna lay out is this window right here. This particular window is only getting one trimmer on each side. These over here got 2 trimmers, 2 king studs, 2 trimmer, 2 king studs, and then as well as this wider opening here. This one gets 3 trimmers, this header for the garage door, 3 trimmers, 3 king studs, so it's quite a bit more. So those are also things that you got to consider. This engineer, what they decided, if it was, and depends on the window, if it's 4 foot or bigger, gets 2 trimmers. So that's something that I missed early on that I need to get right now. So there's another drawing. Actually, that right there shows 2. But on another drawing on the structurals, there's 3 trimmers, and, excuse me, 2 trimmers and 2 king studs. And this one had 1 trimmer, 1 king stud. So from my for my rough opening, I'm gonna go 2 foot 3 inches over to this one with a 3 foot window, 3-0 window. Okay. So from here, from my rough opening, which is right here, I'm gonna go 2 foot 3 inches, and I'm gonna double check that because that's what I need to do. Yep, 2 foot 3 inches. 2 foot 3 inches. And that's to the start of my window. My window is a 3-0. So 3 foot 0 inches. I'm gonna go past the foot so I can mark stuff on that side. Marking 4 foot. I'm gonna mark 4 foot and an 1/8. I want it a little bit bigger because I got a lot of buildup with my waterproofing. I want to make sure I'm not small. Got a trimmer, 1.5 over from there, so 1 5/8. I got a king stud. This one here, I got the trimmer. 1.5 over. 1.5 over, I got the king stud. Right there. Right. My eyeball was messed up. Okay. Now the next thing I'm gonna lay out is my window, my partition. All right, so back to the plans. We got our partition right here. From the outside, I've done all the math coming over to it. So if I did 54 feet minus all of these down to here to this point to the outside, it's 15 foot 4 inches to this outside edge. So I'm gonna mark that next and I'll show you that. Case 15 foot 4. I'm gonna have a stud on this side. So a stud on this side. Then I'm gonna have blocking on this side. And this one, since that's a 2x6 wall, it's gonna need to be a 2x8. So there's 2 options that I could do. 2x8. 2x8. I can also put another stud here, and then a 2x6. 2x6. And that's actually what I'm gonna do because I don't have any 2x8s. And I don't want to rip down a 2x10. 2x6. So by having this stud here and then the next one butted over it like a cowlie corner, it's gonna stick out past so that my drywall can have something to fasten to, and that there's airflow in here so it can dry out, because there'll be a stud right here, actually a stud right here, and a 2x6 right here. Like that. Now this can airflow, I can insulate it, it's solid, good backing for sheetrock, and it's gonna work out real good. So that's that. Now the next thing So those are taken care of. The next thing is laying out studs. All my layout for the other side, I started from that side. So that's what we're gonna do. When you're over your door, you're crippled. So my studs are 16-inch on center. Some of them are 15. Every mark on my tape measure, you're gonna have this red rectangle, and that's every one of those is 16 inches apart. So I'm gonna come over 3/4 inch, because this is 1.5 inches. I'm gonna come over on each one 3/4 inch over, mark it, that's the edge of my stud, and put the X or the line, some people put a line, on the other side. Got another stud here. Something I think I'm gonna change on the plans. I think this long wall, I'm gonna end up adding a window to it. So this one right here, stud. This stud right here, because I won't be able to insulate in here with it here, I'm gonna leave this one out until after I insulate, and then I'm gonna put the stud in. So I'm gonna mark it so it's not forgotten. And leave the stud there, but leave that stud loose so I can insulate this. And then after my sheathing's on, once my sheathing's on, it's waterproofed, and then I can insulate it and I can add that stud. This stud will be like right here, and it'll create a dead space there, and I don't want that. Dead space in Oregon, like this, it's not insulated well. If I insulate it beforehand and it rains, it'll get wet and then it won't dry, cause dry rot. So gotta have this open for airflow for it to dry out, which right now it's dry, but when it rains, it won't be. All right, we're just getting started to do our framing. We got probably half of our studs cut, or maybe a little less, but you know, we figured, hey, let's get some walls up and then go from there. So right now, George and I were getting ready to put together for this little window. It's a 3010, so it's above the shower. So we're nailing those all together, framing this up, we'll stand it up. We're not gonna sheet it because the sheeting is gonna go on by. Well, actually, there's enough of us, we might actually sheet it too. What the heck? Let's do it.
Ideally, when you're installing your studs, that you're going to be crowning, sighting the end of the board and crowning it facing up. If all the studs are crowned and facing up, you're more likely to have a straighter wall. Here on this project, we're going to be using zip wall as our sheeting. So this is also going to be the first time I'm using zip wall. I usually use OSB and like a Tyvek. So one thing that I'm noticing though, when I'm just getting started with this, is my inspector's got to see the nail heads and all these joints. So ideally with zip wall is that you're gonna tape the seams before you stand it. So it's going to be kind of hard for the inspector to actually see the nail heads if the tape's in the way. So kind of seeing that that's somewhat of a problem already. On this wall, I started using the boom lift, just thinking that was going to be the easiest, but the ratchet straps weren't long enough. I didn't have them standing out, so we had to sit it back down. And it's small enough, we had enough people, we just lifted it up by hand. That wound up being the easiest for this little wall. Not going to be the case for some of the others. Some of the walls like these are very tall, and when you're working by yourself using the boom lift, which I have available to me, this seemed to be the best and safest option. Safest as being number one.
All right, we got a good chunk of our framing completed. So we got these walls all standing up. We're ready. Our next step is we're gonna build a little walls here, do the flooring for the second floor of this section, because this is gonna be vaulted on that side, flat ceiling on this side. So a good chunk. We got, sometimes you make mistakes or you change on the fly and you got to modify things. It's just part of it, and you move on. So, well, one of the things we did change was these two walls we extended out. And why we extended out is we made the stairs, actually the risers, taller, which dropped us back one tread. And it actually saved some other things that we'll discuss in other videos. But hopefully you enjoyed, hopefully you liked, you know, and don't be afraid to do things yourself. It's just one step at a time. So like any big, seems like complicated projects, just broke up into several steps. If you break them up into several steps, smaller steps, everything becomes a little easier. So like always, be safe out there, and I'll see you next time on the shop build.